What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ups and Downs, where we get the good bits and up and the bad bits are down. And of course, this is not using any other sources outside in the world of like wrestling news. But of course, in today's video, of course, we have the good old boy from the UK, our boy Liam. What's up, man?
Going, guys. Glad to be here and excited to see this.
Oh yes, comparatively to the previous episodes, we have a new mic setup, obviously, so very exciting. And also, I think he's going to be editing this video as well, so hopefully it turns out well post-production. Anyway, so yeah, today's episode is, I should say today's series, we say a 5-part series for this. Obviously, we're gearing up for the structure decks for Obelisk the Tormentor and Cypher the Sky Dragon. The structure deck's coming out later in June. So pretty much almost every week we'll have a new episode featuring, I guess, the one of the cooler bits we could think of that features the God cards. And the best episode to start out with is, of course, the Mind Games featuring My Valentine going against Marik, and of course it's a pretty interesting duel. Of course, this is the very first part. It does leave in a cliffhanger, which of course it means you guys have to subscribe for more future content in regards to these 5-part episode. Now let's actually roll into the episode. When the episode started, we had a little like, previously in the previous episode, whatever, and it was kind of a simple, like, what I really like about how they do these like previously things is like they keep it very short, very like to the point. And they talked about pretty much Marik now showing his true dark side. Now we can't really give this an up or a down, only because it's just kind of like, it's just a previously. Obviously, if you guys want us to watch a street episode, let us know in the comments down below. But getting into the actual episode itself, we were introduced to a new intro that pretty much has like all the God cards featured in the video, and it was pretty epic. What'd you think about the intro?
As an Egyptian enthusiast myself from the ancient Egyptian cultures, it's something that I can truly appreciate. It's something that actually reveals what's possible to come.
Exactly, and season 2 is all about the Egyptian God cards, obviously, and of course it makes sense that they want to hype up these appearances as much as they can. I think overall we can probably give that one up. I wouldn't say a golden up yet, only because obviously it's just introduction. So once we get to the episode, we'll definitely find out if it lives up to the hype, or if they even make an appearance. So Liam, what happened next after the introduction?
So, Odion is now in the hospital after being struck by lightning along with Joey from the quick catch-up, and they have all the characters, well, most of the main characters spread right by his bedside, watching over him. Yep. And they're talking between each other, and Mai kind of starts being a very enthusiastically friendly person, kind of being the opposite of the Mai that was the first introduction of her from the original series.
Now, she's not actually featured here in this scene, but yeah, and the reason why Mai was talked about, of course, in this episode was a little bit of a backstory, because they talked a little bit about the previous episode, which I really appreciate as well, especially for those, especially for us, like just kind of like jumping around episode to episode. It's nice to kind of like do a little quick recap of what happened. And obviously with the battle that Joey had with Odion, I think his name is, this, for some reason a lightning bolt came down and targeted both of them, and Odion was the one that's kind of laid out, but not Joey. And the reason for that, the explanation that Joey gave is, of course, because of friendship. It's because of friendship and whatever. That's why I'm still alive. And of course, like, he had a dream of something that involved all his friends, and that's why Mai was introduced, saying, "Oh, was I part of your dream?" But of course, we'll get into a little bit of that. But before we get there, like, what'd you think about this whole scene, like his explanation of why he survived and why Odion didn't?
I think it's a bit of a cop-out in the sense that, the power of true friendship, but at the same time, the results do speak for themselves. They're all still here after this many trial and errors and challenges, to the point where maybe there might be something into it, but it just, when you hear it to the ear, it does sound corny.
Yeah, I agree. Very corny. And that's why I'm kind of giving that little plot armor explanation down in our books. So this is when Mike comes into picture, as Liam was alluding to earlier, and she was kind of a different Mai, like from what we experienced from before. She wasn't exactly like, oh, you know, determined, self-sufficient Mai that we know of. She was like almost kind of leaning towards these characters, like, oh, was I part of that dream, Joey? Well, like, am I your friend? Like, she was kind of like reaching for it, and of course, Joey being Joey and taking it the wrong way, I guess. I don't know, like, but he actually, yeah, Joey being Joey, of course, he basically has the hand right in front of her. It's like, no, you weren't in dream. No, like I dream about manly stuff. I dream about cars and eating stuff. I don't know, like, it's weird. And of course, Taya was there, like, saying, oh, why you have to be so immature? And like, I have to agree with Taya that in that regard, like dude, like, grow up, like, but I don't know, like, I don't know what's going through his head.
I guess it's just, you know, the Joey character mentality.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, like, do you feel that's a character development, or like, or it kind of fits later on in the theme of the episode, but like, before we even knew about that, like, how did you feel about that?
When it comes down to it, it was an overreaction on Joey's side, but at the same time, preschool kind of mindset. So
they might be teenager. Yeah. And I guess it's there for laughs and whatnot, so it's not gonna get a. It was kind of funny as well, but I wouldn't give it a strong up, but it was an up nonetheless. And of course, this was the scene after the immature thing where she was basically pulling on his ear. And I think we mentioned this once before, but we probably talked a little bit more. But like, I guess it was mentioned like 3 times where they call his persona, like, obviously if you watch the entirety of Yu-Gi-Oh, he's either compared to a little sad puppy dog or a monkey, like, but I think puppy dog came mostly from Kaiba than the other characters.
So with the monkey, it's a belittling aspect, whereas the puppy term has some kind of charm to it. You know what I mean? It just seems like one of those belittling terms from someone from people that are supposed to be friends, whereas Kaiba, that was supposed to be an enemy, called him a puppy.
Pretty much. So this particular scene right here, like, obviously because of that, I guess, of Joey being immature, Mai, now being the Mai that we know from, you know, the original season 1, went back to her self-sufficient, self-determined. I'm the duelist, so I don't need to rely on anybody else. I don't need to, you know, be friends with anybody, because at the heat of battle, you can only rely on yourself, and that's kind of like what we know Mai being. And of course, now we roll into this, I guess, bingo draw type scene to find out who Mai, or I guess a random person, will be going against.
They switch over to the bingo. I'm calling it the bingo room lineup.
Pretty much, yeah.
You have Kaiba and the majority of the characters in this room.
The one thing that I want to point out real quick is they mentioned an 8th duelist, and of course, I'm assuming the 8th duelist has to be Marik, but obviously that's kind of lingering into the background. But I think I know who that character might be, but of course, for those that may not know, a lot of these episodes were going by memory, so and I think I know who the 8th duelist is, but I don't think the 8th duelist is even Marik. We'll definitely get into that if you guys want us to watch more of this in the future, but I think I have an idea who that 8th duelist might be. But regardless, continue your explanation.
As they're all lined up, you have Kaiba kind of having a bit of an internal monologue, thinking that this should be the time where he gets matched up with Marik to finally get his plan underway. But unfortunately, as a twist to the turns, the bingo machine pulls out number 4.
Yes.
And number 4 happened to be Maya.
Yep.
And she then pulls out number 4. Maya looks, and then she begins to walk off immediately just to get prepared. Friends come up to her to ask if she's going to wait to find out who she's going to be dueling against. And because of the conversation and the emotions of the previous room, she's decided that she's just going to carry on and go to the arena, not wait for the second call, as she doesn't need to worry about who she's dueling, and she doesn't need support.
Exactly. And of course, she basically called out one particular person, not by name, but of course by hair color in this regard. And like that's when they refer to the whole monkey thing again. Well, he took a major offense to that, of course. But of course, at that point, Mai was like, "Yeah, you're immature. I'm not gonna deal with you. I'm just gonna go." And that's exactly what she did. All right. So in this scene, to me, this is one of the unnecessary scenes. Like it showed a little bit of like his motives, I guess, but at the same time, like as soon as Marik heard his name called out in the screen. So in the screen here, they basically heard that Mai's opponent will be a Marik. I think he was number 8, possibly. I forget what his number was. But what I find interesting about this scene here is the fact that he was about to do something evil, like maybe steal a soul or banish his soul to the Shadow Realms or something. He could easily have done that in the amount of time. But the fact that the announcer was like, "Oh, you have to report to the whatever," it's like, what made him stop? Like to me, to me, it feels like more of like a down to me. But how do you feel about that scene, Liam?
I completely agree with you, Talos, especially in the sense that, you know, these dark spells that have been used in the game have been shown to be practically instant. You know, all he would have had to have done is wave his little wand, maybe wait 30 seconds, and then said, "Okay, yeah, I'm on my way. I've just been in my sleeping quarters," or something, you know, just any kind of scenario excuse. But at the same time, that's plot protection for you.
Yeah, exactly. And now, of course, we move into the actual duel of this episode. Of course, what I really like about, like, I guess the first 5 minutes of this is each character laid out one card, just one card. I don't think they even attacked at all, but they build the tension so well, I think, in this episode, to kind of like draw, like, I guess the viewers in, because like, to be honest, the first, what was it? The first 9 minutes of the episode, to kind of, if you want to cut out the intro and stuff like that, so it's probably like 5 minutes or so. Honestly, I was kind of a little bored. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Move on. But now they actually got into the tension of it, and of course that kind of drew my eyes back into the episode.
Certainly one of those things that was laid out correctly. I mean, especially considering in the time scale of things, it won't be long generation-wise before they're throwing 4 or 5 cards on the field or pulling things from their hand, you know?
Exactly. And I get it though, it's gonna be a multiple part episode, so they're trying to draw it out even more of that suspense. So, but regardless though, I still enjoyed it for the most part, and of course as a kid growing up watching this, I was definitely super hyped. So with that being said, I'll probably give, so yes, so basically they had to raise this floor up. I don't know why, they really didn't need to, but regardless, that was the point of that episode. Before Mai's friends actually showed up into the ring, they pretty much laid out a few of their monsters here, and that's when that tension was building.
And then the first turn has been played, and she doesn't realize the scenario that she's been put into by Marik, and Yugi immediately spots what's going on, and tries to
explain that a little bit, because like what happened, like obviously that happened to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Basically, Marik has a deck that is even feared by Kaiba and Yugi themselves.
Once the move was actually made from Marik, Yugi actually recognized this particular move because that's what's used against him during a previous match. And he was trying to tell and convey that to Mai. Mai was like, "Leave me alone, guys." And that's when we got that like annoying, almost like a annoying tone from Mai. Like, Yugi, Joey, Tristan, Taya, like, you know, "I got this. Leave me alone." And you can actually hear that in the voice actress's voice. Like, okay, basically, shut up, guys. I got this. And I actually kind of like that. So like, in a way, she was kind of like conveying what the audience might have said through her. Because obviously every episode, there'll be some kind of like friendship talk, or you can do this, Mai, I believe in you. Oh, don't, and I listen to my advice. And sometimes it's kind of nice to have like another character in the actual show be like, okay, yeah, guys, really, shut up.
In official tournament statuses, you know, you wouldn't have the audience throwing out game advice.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's like cheating. It's like, yes, we know what happened to you, Yuki, but don't yeah, that's his strategy. Obviously, I've never seen his strategy, and of course, that would be considered cheating. Of course, I'm not sure how that would work in an official tournament that Kaiba is under, but he could have disqualified him if, but I don't know. We'll see. But for
the dire warning, even though it was a dire warning, was still one of those scenarios where, well, we can't really use that tidbit of information. You know what I mean? It's coaching.
Yeah. Overall, though, I think I would give that an up. Do you agree?
Absolutely. She stays strong to her character, even in the face of, oh yeah, but we're still here to support you.
Exactly. At this point, basically, this is when she found out about the slime kind of like being undefeated because of that magic card. So she kind of played a Harpy's Feather Duster, destroyed the magic card and the trap they laid down, and now he was able to actually receive damage from destroying one of the slimes. But of course, the slime actually doesn't actually die, but you still lose life points. And of course, you see a scene here with Joey being, yeah, you got this, Mai, you're doing this. You're lowering down his life points. And of course, there's more to that. There's more to his strategy than meets the eye. And that's when it introduces a new mechanic into it.
And so with this scenario, he sacrifices 2 monsters to summon the winged beast. Was it Mass Beast Guardian?
Something like that.
And attempted to make an attack. And thus, fortunately for Mai, she had a little ace up her sleeve to activate to block the damage, and so the mirror card mitigates the damage and thus turns the fight on its head from a one and done smash into she's got a little bit more time.
Yeah, before he actually goes into the shadow realm, what's the funny card that he put out was the remove trap card. Like when me and Liam was watching the episode, it was like, man, I haven't seen the card forever. What an old meta. And so basically, he used that card to obviously destroy a mirror wall because he won't be able to attack anymore of her defenses with that trap in. And of course, since the card was destroyed, one of the effects from destroying a monster pretty much reversed to enemy side once the monster is destroyed. And that's what's happening here. All right, finally, we'll get into the Shadow Realm. Obviously, I think this is the first time Mai has been in the Shadow Realms because I thought she has been there before, but for some reason she doesn't remember it. But of course, the other characters definitely remember, especially Taya and all the other characters. And this was an interesting twist, and that's what I really like about this episode because it kind of fits into the theme of the episode. Because if you guys recall, in the very beginning of the episode, like Mai was like, "Oh, you guys are my friends." Oh, because of what Joey said, I guess you're not my friends. I guess I'm a loner, and it kind of fits to the story. I don't know how like Marik knew about this, but he like basically every time Mai attacks one of her own cards or her cards gets destroyed, a piece of her mind, a piece of her memory is actually removed, and that the way it kind of harmonizes the episode, I kind of like that aspect a lot. So that's why I'm kind of giving that one an up because it fits to the theme of the episode. What do you say?
It really does, especially as you know it gives more towards the being a teen rated kind of anime where there is a dark side, there is something to worse than what people could comprehend normally.
Exactly.
So it's a big up for me.
Big up. So in that regard though, it's not just an up, it's actually a G up.
Ping.
And the one thing I definitely want to mention here, obviously, like every time they involve the evil side of Marik, they always stretch out his face for some reason. Like I think they did it like 4 or 5 times in this episode, but like every time I think of Marik, I always think about this stretched face animation. So yeah, it's not really an up or a down, it's just something that we want to mention real quick.
As with losing her card that she placed down on the field, as mentioned by Marik, with the cards that they placed being a part of themselves being put into the game, having lost one of her key cards, and it seemed to have been like no set way. For example, like when she played that card, she had no idea that was going to be. It just so happened to be that was going to remove her memory of Tay.
Well, she didn't believe him. Obviously, it's like there's no way you can do this, and then yeah, basically she starts seeing like memories of Taya being like disappearing, like even like on the because we kind of joked around. She's like right next to you. Like yeah, your memory of her is gone, but she's right next to you. But of course they flip to that, and she's actually disappearing from the actual stage, as if she doesn't exist. Which, like, what's funny is myself and Liam was like, yay. But
the power of friendship is gone.
Yep, and it starts with Taya, and it makes complete sense. Obviously, it's an inside joke if you guys ever watched the other episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh, but like the fact that she was the first one gone, it was like kind of like a funny meme for us. So like we definitely appreciate that, Marik.
Not such a bad guy.
So basically that's kind of like how the episode ended, on a cliffhanger. Obviously one of her memories is gone, so the more monsters that are destroyed, her own monster is destroyed because it's linked to her, more of her friends will start disappearing. So obviously as the episode goes on, it gets more and more dire, more like that theme of her being a loner. And I don't know how it's going to come to fruition, but of course, we'll definitely find out as more episodes come into play. Now, in the actual grand scheme of it, like, how do you feel about the cliffhanger and all that?
I think the cliffhanger comes in right on point. It follows the formula perfectly.
Exactly.
You know, sincerely how I feel about it, man. It builds up, it hypes, and then you want to see what comes after next. It's
yep, exactly.
Classic anime at its best.
Exactly, and I have to agree with you. Like, obviously, that's a great way to like kind of link to the next episode, and for that, of course, we'll give that a up. Not a golden up, but it is an up nonetheless. Now, let's talk about a little bit of the overall episode itself. Now, overall, this is a nice little like introduction. Obviously, the previous episode led to its own epic battle with Joey and Orion, whatever his name is. Basically, it was kind of like a little transition between that, but it hooked you right back in the episode as soon as Mai and Marik went into the next duel. Now, they haven't done much in terms of like you know, back to back, but at least they had like a back and forth confrontation. And also like I think half of Marik's life points is gone, but that doesn't mean that he's in disadvantage. If anything, he might be in advantage because now there's actually destroyed memories and getting into the brain, into pretty much brain damage if you want to look at it, of Mai Valentine. And of course, with that being said, we'll see how this goes as more episodes happen, but I'm definitely loving the way it's going. Overall, though, how would you give this episode, Liam?
I would give this episode an up, just purely because it has points where there are characters that are out of character, even if but for a moment, but they snap straight back into it rather than rolling on something that's completely backwards. You know, there's rolling on something, but you know, there's a reason why these people have their like stand on their own ways, and they got to where they are because of themselves and how they built their deck in the end.
Exactly, and I have to agree with you. I'll have to give this episode overall up as well. It was a great little episode. Obviously, we definitely want to watch more of it, and of course, for you guys, definitely if you guys want to see more of this, definitely subscribe because this is a 5-part episode. We will be doing the other episodes, lingering all of the Egyptian god cards and how it falls into place. So I'm definitely excited for that, and of course, definitely like this video if you guys want to see more of that. But yeah, guys, that pretty much concludes it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And of course, like we said before, more parts to come. Definitely subscribe, link down below. And of course, if you guys are interested, definitely consider giving us a join as well in the collective. And of course, you get exclusive perks, you get discounts in our online store, and more of these exclusive episodes before anyone else, especially when we do the unboxing for Cypher the Sky Dragon and Obelisk the Tormentor later in the month of June. Stick around for part 2, and we'll definitely see you in the next episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! That's all we got, so until next time, this is Talos and Liam signing out.
Peace.